Yeah, ready?
Okay. Let's fire straight into the first question then, Craig. So, question number one is, technology allows communication, but what makes a good conversation between a brand and its customers?
A good conversation between a brand and the customer occurs when the brand listens. And I think that's a big challenge today for brands. We're not set up to do that. There's a lot of technology that allows you to listen and to respond, but you're not responding as yourself, you're responding as the brand. And so it requires a lot of coordination and it requires a lot of insight to the customer. So balancing what you know about the customer and what they're asking about the brand and then being able to respond in real time is still a challenge, not because of the tech, but because of the ways of working.
Okay, I'll speak.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a perfection.
I know, well, that's good. We like that.
Next question then. Has location-based technology impacted retailers as forecast? What further developments do you foresee?
I'll start that again. Location-based technology has taken a while to have some traction. Again, I think people have not thought thoroughly about how a brand can respond and react. One of my clients in London, Matches Fashion, is using location-based technology, knowing when customers come in the door. And they meet and greet them, they understand the history, the customer purchase, et cetera, because they've rolled that into a clienteling app. And to me, that's a highly effective way of using location-based technology. I've seen other areas where you would walk in and maybe interact with digital signage or interact with mannequins. People are busy, and sometimes they don't even realize that content and things change for them. So I think we're still exploring it. That said, there's still the potential, again, when connected with a dialogue with the consumer. So imagine entering a shopping mall and it's a very hot day. If the mall has a pop-up ice cream shop, be great to know about it, be great to get information about it, and then say that you're going. Not for a discount, not for lowering price, maybe for loyalty, but more loyalty and loyalty rewards. But I think more it's just about listening, responding, and doing that in real time. So yeah, there's still a lot of untapped potential in location-based technology.
Maybe just to extend that question, could you give us some examples of what you think are or have been good case uses of location-based technology recently?
Yeah, I think because I'm working on one project, so I'm thinking about that, but I'm also thinking about matches. You know, this is obviously not for the recording, but their case, I'm not sure that all of these cases have happened, but I'll give some of them. Yeah, how's that? I think other examples of location-based technology that respond, I'll start that again. I think other good cases of location-based technology where brands and consumers can respond are when you look at where you are in the physical space and where you are in the digital space. So if you opt in on your phone, we know where you are in the physical space and we know where you are in the digital space. So if you're getting ready to board an aircraft, for example, would you like an offer to buy travel insurance at that moment? Probably, because it might be something you've forgotten. If you're in a sports arena, well, if there's an opportunity to bet on your winning team, well, maybe you might want to do that. So I think across a lot of industry sectors, there's great opportunity for location-based tech to interact with brands. If you have purchased something at a store and it's ready to be picked up and you're nearby, I'd like a message knowing that that's available and that I can go into the store and pick that up. Or better yet, I can respond back, I can't pick it up, can you have it delivered somewhere? So I think that's the sort of listening, responding, and understanding where you are in location to the retailer or to the brand. Make sense?
Excellent, yeah. Okay. Do you think there's an opportunity for companies to make better internal use of mobile connectivity?
I think we're just at early days where companies are exploring the use of mobile in the office. When I was at Burberry, we did allow people to have iPads. We purchased iPads for people and iPhones as well. And we began that journey with unrestricted access so people could use the tools the way they were designed. Since then, a lot of companies who have introduced mobile tend to restrict it. They worry about mobile device management. They start to overprotect the brand, I think, in some instances. And yet what's really lacking is not the willingness to deploy or to bring your own device. Bring your own device works very well also. But it's how are our larger legacy systems, our ERP systems, are they really built to interface with mobile? And I think that's part of the challenge. So the willingness to deploy the devices, yes. The uptake on some of the larger ERP systems to have true mobile interface is still slow. The IBM Apple partnership, which was now probably 2, maybe even 3 years on, is a great example of taking legacy systems and layering on simplicity to interact with those systems. But you have to remember, an app or an interface via your phone is not performing all tasks. It's only doing 1 or 2 because that's what the phone's designed to do. So it's a real challenge, I think, for some ERP solution providers to think about the simplicity of interface in a mobile app. So making decisions, approving purchase orders, doing things like that. Very different than sitting in front of a much larger screen and entering lots of data. So as long as we don't abuse the mobile device, there's still a lot we can do with them. We make decisions when we're out in the field. We make decisions in the store. We make decisions when we're in the factory or when we're in the mill as a fashion brand. So the ability to make that decision on a mobile device to approve a style, approve a color, change and reroute a shipment because you know it's not needed at that store, those sorts of easy tasks are still being developed. There's a lot happening and there's a lot of good progress, but we have a long way to go still.
Next question. In luxury and fashion retail, how far is technological innovation driven by the customer and their expectations?
I think in luxury retail and fashion, and well, quite frankly, most retail, it's not just limited to those, it's how the customer expects us to engage with them. I'm still surprised that many brands don't treat their website as the flagship store. Digital is discovery. We don't go into a store if we can't find something online. We want to understand the brand. We want to understand the provenance of the product, how it's made, what colors it comes in, what people are saying about it before we go into a store. It's just how it is. And many of us now will buy things prior to going into a store if we know the brand and we feel engaged. And we trust the brand. And so I think that luxury firms that aren't, and luxury brands that aren't looking at mobile and mobile interactions are missing out in a very, very, very big way. You know, shopping on social, shopping and messaging apps, you know, conversational commerce, all of these things are coming or are beginning to happen, and this is what brands are expecting. So I do think customers still are driving the interaction with luxury, and it's listening and understanding how a luxury consumer wants to look at product and wants to interact. Again, I'll go back to the example of Matches Fashion. When we put clienteling in, we tied in the wish list from the website so that a consumer could shop at any point in the day or night. He or she could put things in their wish list, and the store sales associates who looked after that customer would know the next morning exactly what they were looking for and could set up a styling session or a fitting session or pull product in for them to come in and review. And that's continuously being on. I mean, this is how we shop now. We don't just shop during store hours. We shop when we have the time or when we are relaxed enough to do so or on the go and need something. You know, Farfetch is a great example of providing things immediately. Within a couple of hours, certain brands are able to deploy and do that. So, yeah, I think consumers are really driving new technological behaviors with brands. Now, the only other question I have for you is the sun just changed. Does that matter for the...
It'll come back, it's Madrid.
That's right, we're not sitting in London, are we?
That's one thing I miss about London. The seasonal adjustment disorder.
I have to say, people I know who are from London, they just get overwhelmed by too much sun. When is it going to rain?
We did have some Glasgow weather the weekend.
Yeah, yes, you did. I was here for that. It was sunny one day and then the next day not.
Let's see. For a retail company looking to enter into digital transformation, where would you recommend they start?
Starting digital transformation shouldn't be hard. I think the biggest challenge that most brands have is they want immediate return on investment. I mean, after all, we're in this business because it's a business, there's a commercial aspect to it. And so often I see digital transformation begin customer facing because they want to hang more sales onto that. They want more sell-through, or higher margin, less returns. And that is a very good place to start. The harder sell, though, to the financial approving governance group, whoever that might be, your CFO, or if you've got a financial steering committee, are the internal aspects. And if you don't start digital on the inside at the same time when you start on the outside, you are going to struggle. So if you start with customer first, let's say it's clienteling, and you haven't looked at giving new tools, mobile tools, interactive tools, monitoring tools, and responding tools to the teams in head office, then how are they supposed to respond? How are they supposed to understand what people are saying? And to really look at how that affects product development, right? Because all of this data is so important. And we struggle as brands and retailers looking at that data. So we'll put in customer-facing initiatives, but we're not necessarily putting teams of data scientists and data architects in to help us make sense of what's coming in new. So I so strongly recommend you've got to do it inside and outside at the same time.
Where do you see innovation gaps in the use of technology in the types of companies that you normally work with?
This is the question that I thought, what am I going to say to this? Innovation gaps. We're in a very exciting time with digital transformation. The word's been bantered around so much, and people thought, oh, it just responded to e-commerce, or oh, it just has to do with an app, or oh, it just has to do with customer-facing or CRM. But the reality is it's an entire ecosystem. And I'm seeing new developments and new innovations every day. For example, just within the past 12 months, GS1 has changed the standard for all labeling, which now gives every product its own unique web address. And both Google and Apple adjusted their operating system so that the cameras read this new standard, which means we literally have a place to store anything and everything we'd like around every single piece of product that we make. That is incredible and solves sustainability questions and sustainability issues, but it also improves the process of supply chain and manufacturing. It allows the customer to interact. It allows marketing and sales to come with the product. It allows the customers to be rewarded. So it's not lack of innovation. I think it's thorough application of the new innovative things that are happening. And again, I go back to data scientists, how important they are, how important application and enterprise architects are in all of this. Because we are used to, really, as a retailer, shipping product, developing product against a timeline, longer lead times, all of these things haven't changed much in, golly, 50, if not 100 years. And now we have technology that enables us to completely disrupt that. So I think there's a long way to go with manufacturing, supply chain, how we analyze what we're selling, create closer to market based on real-time data of what people want. All of this tech is there, and it's this convergence of this technology that makes it super exciting. I just think, again, it's so hard for a brand to just turn so quickly and reevaluate how they plan or how they replenish or how they even develop product based on what consumers are looking at and looking for. And so I think maybe the gaps are responding quickly enough, embracing these new technologies, playing with them, failing fast. That's all terribly, terribly important. We did that at Burberry, and it served us very, very well. And I think it's not so much for lack of innovation, it is lack of guts.
What innovations do you see happening now that go beyond mobile?
Gosh, I kind of answered that, didn't I, in the other one, which was the supply chain and the well, I'll tell you what, I'll rephrase it in Internet of Things, because that's really what that's about.
I talked recently with Maurice Dan. He's also a tutor on the global course. They have a Berlin-based mobile strategy agency, and he was talking about the screen disappearing. Next stages in interaction.
Yeah.
So, if you have a better example.
Well, I think that we are in a very interesting. Let's see. How do I say this? It's not interesting. One example of going way beyond mobile is the Internet of Things. I mentioned the GS1 standard. The fact that devices are connected, the fact that objects are connected, the fact that textiles are connected, means that we actually can communicate across devices. And so it's on the go, and it is about where you are, but it's not necessarily a mobile device. Then I think when we look at machine learning, I think when we look at algorithms that continue to improve over time, we can start automating some of these things, right? Whether it's a smart chatbot, whether it's processing purchase orders. I mean, there are tech companies out there now that take in emails and customer requests and through automation respond to those because the data is within that. Again, I could bang on about the data scientists and these mass amounts of data that we have, but the innovation's there, super important. And then lastly, the thing that we don't really talk about much is voice recognition. It's secure enough to get your money in the UK, and banks are doing that. And yet it's not so great when you come from Virginia like I do and lived in New York and in London. They doesn't necessarily understand the hodgepodge of the accent, so it still has a long way to go. I think it's funny because we used to use our telephones to talk on, now we use them to type on, and soon we're going to be talking to them rather than using them to talk to make everything happen. Because it's not very effective to be pecking away at a text or a message or reading something as you go. It's much better to have all of that sort of brought to you, or you can talk to it and tell it to do things. And voice recognition is clearly working, at home with Amazon Echo and all that sort of thing. So that's another one. And then lastly, we are looking at all sorts of interfaces with computers around gestures that don't require us to actually touch them. And that opens up unbelievable possibilities for people who are physically challenged or handicapped. So it's not stopping. It's not stopping anytime soon. And this is why I shouldn't say this, but I sort of giggle when I hear brands not really embracing it and not paying attention to the fact that all of this digital progression is a journey. It's not a project. You may have to start with a project, but once you start, you can't stop. You've got to continue to evolve because the tech's not done yet.
Okay, let's see. A couple more questions.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the impact they might have, which innovations excite you the most?
Which excite me the most? Sorry, the thing's flying around me. My nose is itching. Oh, that'll be what you use.
Put that on the outtake reel.
Exactly. Oh, me. For me, it's the convergence of all this new technology that's creating new business models and new opportunities. I'll go back to the Internet of Things and labels being in every product that have a web address, right? When you think about that, a retailer at Christmas time sells how many red dresses that get returned the next day? Well, it's kind of obvious people are wearing them to Christmas events. Well, with a tag, we'd know that. And why would we turn that into a rental model for those dresses? Instead of taking a complete loss, if you actually can analyze that and see that people are really renting your dresses but not really paying you for it, when you just offer a rental model. So it's thinking about these things in different ways. We're doing so many cool things with cinematography and gaming where we can now produce product that looks realistic. There's so much home furnishing product that we don't even understand as consumers. It's all 3D simulation. They're way ahead of apparel, and apparel is catching up. There's a good handful of brands that have been working in this 3D space for 6 to 10 years, and they're really leading the way. And there are brands that you can go online and look at product that doesn't exist, and then it's made to order. And that solves our inventory problem, but it also solves sustainability and it solves waste and it does so many things. And then we have the opportunity to customize and personalize that. There's a company in London called Unmade. They're doing incredible things with literally allowing brands to offer customized product that remain within the aesthetic of the brand. So designers put parameters around what can and cannot be changed, either for structure, if it's a sweater, right? You want it to be technically feasible to make and also strong structurally, so it's not going to wear out. But at the same time, offering all sorts of personalization to that, and then making it on demand, and making it on demand with the highest quality because they're able to build into the algorithms the nuances of the knitting machines. I mean, it's incredible stuff, so it makes me very excited. I come from design, I come from product development, and so I'm really pleased to see mobile being used in that space. It excites me. You know, we don't need foam core boards anymore. We can have interactive storyboards. We can make decisions on screens, and then when we approve those decisions, cascade that work to the people that then need to execute that, whether it's buying fabric, ordering fabric, beginning the manufacturing process. All of that can now happen in an interactive way. And then we can make it in, you know, personalized and fast and to order. How cool is that?
Pretty cool. Unmade, you say? I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, Unmade. Yeah, they're really cool. They're in Somerset House. You need to see them.
What investments, whether that's financial or educational or strategic, etc., what investments should be made today to provide the best returns for business in technology use?
I think before anyone goes on a digital journey, they need to take time to reflect. Who is the brand? What is the brand? What does the brand represent? Right? We did that at Burberry. Born from a cloth. Thomas Burberry invented wool gabardine, had the patent for wool gabardine. Born from a cloth, own outerwear, own coats. We also understood that the next generation of luxury consumers were millennials. Right? The statistics told us that. And so millennials worked in digital, and so we therefore looked at how we would operate digitally. And it all tied together. And it tied together because it went back to who we were as a brand and strategically where we were going. If you just embark on digital because you know you have to, you're just gonna wander around in a lot of muck because you're not going to have any clarity of purpose. You need to invest in what is it I'm trying to fix and how I'm going to do that. You've got to give enough time for that. I hate to say this, but the tech is the easy part at this point. That means you need to bring everybody along on the journey. You need to invest so that you can listen to what your employees are saying and help adjust that journey. It has to come from the top. The leadership has to come from the top. If they're not supportive of it and not clear on what you want to obtain and what your goals are, whether that's year-on-year growth, whether it's less inventory, whether it's better quality in the product, whether it's better engagement with the consumer, all of these things have to be very clear, and then you look at technology and you look at new way of working. And all these things require equal investment because it's resources which is money, but also people, and training those people. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times employees will say to me, oh, look, I have a clean inbox. Oh, I'm done for the day. Doing your email is not your job. That's like a nuisance. The email needs to go away. We need to be interacting with systems to make decisions and get on with it. Employees are paid to think and contribute. You know, yes, email, golly, I'm so old. Well, I remember when we put email in at the Gap because we used to use faxes before them, right? So I remember pre-email when we didn't have that. You have to have a communication tool, but it's not about clearing an inbox. It's about answering requests or solving things, not pushing them on to somebody else, right? Which so often email ends up being. So it really, really, really is important to look at these things sort of holistically and say, where are we going as a brand? What are we doing as a brand? Who are we as a brand? And now what technology makes sense? And what technology does our customer expect? And what technology does the employee expect? We run around all day long as consumers on our phones, and then what? We're expected to put them down when we come to work? No, that's just wrong.
Really good, thanks. I'm going to ask you for a sound bite as well while we're here recording.
Okay.
Which is simply to ask your opinion why ISDE, or why the program that you teach on, what value do you think it gives to the participants?
ISDE to me is amazing because it's really two services, if you will. One, helping corporations figure out where they're going in digital, providing them with the skills, the training, and helping guide the strategy, right? The second part then is all of the work in educating, whether it's in the master's program, an undergraduate program, helping students understand where this journey is and their contribution. On the one end of the spectrum, we have executives that this is all new, and they feel they need to catch up, or they need some guidance or some help in how they transform. On the other side of the spectrum, we have 24, 25-year-olds who've grown up with this, hadn't really thought, gosh, this needs to be planned. Gosh, how do we do this? How do we contribute? So ISDI adds to both sides of that, which is just quite incredible, because it's then a holistic approach. That was an awful long soundbite.
We'll make it into 3.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's it. That was so good, Drake. Honestly, very good indeed. Thanks very much for that. Do we have time to take a good portrait of Ian?
Thank you.